Linda, a vibrant 62-year-old retired schoolteacher, used to begin her mornings with fog that never seemed to lift until well past noon. She'd wake up, shuffle to the kitchen, make herself a cup of coffee, and sit by the window staring blankly at the sunrise she once found so inspiring. Her once sharp mind, which had effortlessly juggled lesson plans, students' names, and school schedules, now struggled to recall even simple to-dos. Linda found herself misplacing her reading glasses almost daily, forgetting the names of former colleagues, and stumbling over her words during conversations. It wasn't just frustrating, it was frightening. The fear of losing her independence, of not recognizing her grandchildren's faces one day, weighed heavily on her. One morning, her daughter, concerned about the change, brought over a small container of fresh blueberries, calling them brain berries. Skeptical but desperate, Linda started adding a handful to her oatmeal each morning. What followed was subtle but powerful. Weeks passed, and she began noticing her mind waking up before her second cup of coffee. She felt sharper during her morning crossword puzzles, and her memory lapses became less frequent. It was as though a switch had flipped. Linda's daily blueberries didn't just add color to her plate. They restored a part of herself she feared she was losing. Her story is a reminder that sometimes the simplest changes have the most profound impact. For anyone over 60 who worries about mental clarity, adding blueberries to your diet isn't just good advice. It's a lifeline. Tom, a 58-year-old retired firefighter from Ohio, had always seen himself as the picture of strength. He'd spent decades running into burning buildings, saving lives and staying in shape. But after retirement, his routine changed. Exercise fell by the wayside, processed snacks filled his pantry, and late-night TV binges replaced early morning jogs. It wasn't until a routine checkup that he realized how much had shifted. His blood pressure was high, his cholesterol levels were worse, and his doctor sat him down with a serious look in his eyes. "If you keep this up, you're heading straight for a heart attack," the doctor warned. That moment hit Tom harder than any fire he'd ever faced. Determined to make a change, he went home and cleared out his fridge. One of the first foods he introduced into his new lifestyle was avocado. It seemed simple, maybe even too simple, but every morning he began spreading mashed avocado on whole grain toast instead of grabbing his usual processed breakfast bar. The change was almost immediate. Within weeks, Tom's energy returned. He found himself walking longer distances without tiring, and his follow-up visit with the doctor revealed significantly improved numbers. Tom calls avocados his green gold now, a daily defense against the mistakes of his past. His story isn't just about cholesterol or heart disease. It's about the wake-up calls we all face and the power of one decision to turn everything around. Claire, 64, had been married for over 40 years when her husband, Mark, died suddenly from a heart attack. The shock of his death left her not only grieving, but terrified. They'd eaten the same meals, shared the same habits. If it happened to him, could she be next? Her nights were sleepless, her days filled with anxiety. She began noticing the pounding of her own heart in quiet rooms and became obsessed with her blood pressure monitor. During a support group session for widows, a fellow member shared how she started drinking a small glass of pomegranate juice daily to help with her circulation and stress. Claire figured she had nothing to lose. The tart, ruby-red juice became part of her morning ritual. As weeks passed, she noticed something unexpected. She felt lighter, both in spirit and body. Her anxiety eased, and she started going for morning walks again, her steps fueled by a quiet strength. Her cardiologist later confirmed her blood pressure had improved. More than that, she began sleeping through the night and smiling more often. Pomegranates didn't erase her grief, but they became part of her healing, a symbol of her commitment to life. Claire's story is a testament to resilience. When we're broken, healing often starts with small acts of care, and sometimes they come in the form of fruit. Robert, 66, had looked forward to retirement for years. But when it finally came, the excitement quickly faded. Without his job to anchor his days, he felt adrift, unmotivated, sluggish, and increasingly stiff in his joints. He spent hours in front of the television, barely moving, eating whatever was easiest. He didn't recognize himself. His daughter noticed a change and brought him a bag of crisp, red apples one afternoon. "Dad, try replacing your chips with one of these a day," she said gently. Robert scoffed, but the next day, curious and a little guilty, he gave it a try. He expected nothing, but what followed amazed him. After just a couple of weeks, he noticed less stiffness in his knees and hips. His digestion improved. He started walking again, first just to the mailbox, then around the block. The daily ritual of biting into a fresh apple gave him something to look forward to, a tiny victory that snowballed into larger changes. Robert's energy returned, his outlook brightened, and he even started volunteering at the local library. The apple wasn't magic, but it was a turning point. His story reminds us that retirement doesn't have to mean slowing down. With the right choices, it could be a time of renewed vitality. Susan, 65, was the kind of person who kept everything inside. She had always taken care of others, her children, her husband, even her aging parents. But over the last few years, she began to notice a troubling pattern. Constant bloating, discomfort after meals, and a sense that no matter what she ate, her body wasn't processing food the way it used to. She tried cutting out gluten, eating smaller meals, even fasting. Nothing worked. Then she read about papaya and its natural digestive enzymes. Skeptical but desperate for relief, she bought one, sliced it up, and had a few pieces after lunch. That night was the first time in months she didn't feel bloated. Encouraged, she continued. Within 2 weeks, her discomfort was nearly gone. Her skin looked brighter. She had more energy, and most importantly, she felt like herself again. Susan's story is for every caregiver who's forgotten to care for themselves. Papaya may not be a miracle, but for her, it was a beginning of self-respect and healing. Her quiet struggle had a quiet solution and a powerful result. Frank, a retired lawyer at 69, was known for his eloquence and wit, but over time, he started losing words mid-sentence, fumbling through stories he once told with ease. It shook his confidence. He avoided conversations, skipped social events, and started retreating from the people he loved. One day, during a visit from his grandson, he forgot the name of his favorite board game, something they'd played together for years. The hurt in his grandson's eyes broke him. Determined to fight back, Frank researched natural ways to improve memory and came across studies praising the cognitive benefits of blueberries. He made a pact with himself. Blueberries every day, no exceptions. He added them to yogurt, blended them into smoothies, and ate them straight from the bowl. Slowly but surely, his clarity returned. He wasn't quoting Shakespeare again overnight, but he started feeling like the old Frank, the storyteller, the sharp debater. Janet, 63, was tired of wearing socks to bed. Even in the summer, her feet felt icy, her hands numb. She chalked up to aging until one day, while gardening, she felt dizzy and had to sit down. Her doctor diagnosed her with poor circulation, likely linked to high blood pressure and a sedentary lifestyle. The fear set in. Strokes, heart attacks. Were they next? A friend suggested she try incorporating pomegranate seeds into her diet. Curious and concerned, Janet started sprinkling them over her morning yogurt. They were tart and juicy, but more than that, they became a symbol of action. In the weeks that followed, her hands warmed up, her dizziness subsided, and she started walking every evening with her husband. Her blood pressure improved slightly, and more importantly, she felt in control. Janet's story is a wake-up call to listen to your body. Cold extremities aren't just inconvenient. They're a message. And sometimes, the answer lies in a handful of seeds that have been healing hearts for centuries. Marcus, a 67-year-old former truck driver, was overwhelmed by the sheer number of pills he had to take every day. His kitchen counter looked more like a pharmacy than a place for preparing meals. Every morning began with a complicated routine of medications for high blood pressure, high cholesterol, acid reflux, and joint pain. He started feeling like he wasn't living. He was just managing symptoms. One afternoon, after skipping lunch again due to nausea from his pills, Marcus decided something had to give. He researched natural anti-inflammatory foods and found consistent praise for a combination of avocados and apples. He began replacing his usual sandwich with an avocado-topped salad and an apple on the side. Within weeks, his body started responding. He had fewer aches, his digestion improved, and his doctor was able to reduce one of his medications. That sense of empowerment, of reclaiming control over his health, lit a fire in Marcus. He still takes some medication, and always will, but now he does so knowing he's also giving his body the fuel it needs to heal. Marcus's journey is proof that food isn't just about flavor. It's about freedom. Eileen, a warm-hearted 68-year-old, had spent the last 10 years caring for her husband after a stroke. She was his everything, nurse, cook, chauffeur, and emotional support. But slowly, Eileen herself began fading. She rarely slept, often skipped meals, and lived with a constant knot in her stomach from stress. Her friends worried. Her daughter begged her to take a break. But guilt kept her glued to her routine until one evening. After feeling lightheaded and nearly fainting, she realized she needed to do something. A friend suggested something simple. Start eating a bowl of papaya in the afternoons. It sounded silly, almost too small to matter, but she did it. That 10-minute pause, that bright orange bowl of tropical sweetness, became her sanctuary. Her digestion improved, yes, but so did her spirit. She started journaling during that time, breathing deeper and reconnecting with herself. Eileen's story is a love letter to caregivers everywhere. Your health matters too. And sometimes your comeback begins with fruit that reminds you to slow down and breathe. James, 70, adored his grandchildren. They were the light of his life, always running up for hugs and begging him to read their favorite bedtime stories. But he'd begun noticing how often he lost his place while reading, or how he'd repeat a story thinking it was new. The worst moment came when he called his granddaughter by the wrong name, twice. The look on her face broke his heart. Determined to keep his bond strong, James researched ways to improve memory naturally. Blueberries and pomegranates came up again and again, so he made a fun decision. He'd make a brain smoothie with his grandkids every weekend. Blueberries, pomegranate juice, a bit of banana, and yogurt. It became their tradition. And as the months went by, he noticed not just mental improvement, but a deeper joy. He wasn't just preserving his memory. He was creating new ones. James's story is a reminder that the journey to better health can be shared. And sometimes, the sweetest memories are made in the kitchen. Martha, 55, had always battled a sweet tooth. Morning donuts, afternoon candy bars, and nightly bowls of ice cream left her on a roller coaster of energy highs and crashing lows. She felt tired by noon and irritable by dinner. Her doctor warned her she was on the brink of type 2 diabetes. That shook her. She didn't want to give up sweets, but she needed to find balance. A nutritionist introduced her to the concept of fruit-forward snacking, suggesting she try apples, specifically because of their fiber and blood sugar benefits. Martha was skeptical but tried sliced apples with a dash of cinnamon in the afternoons. It worked. Her energy remained steady, her cravings eased, and she started exploring other healthy swaps. Apples became her go-to, and eventually, her weight and blood sugar both improved. Martha's story is one so many share, the tug-of-war between comfort food and health. Her victory lies in the simple power of a crunchy apple and the realization that change doesn't have to mean sacrifice. David, 60, loved family dinners. Full plates, rich gravies, second helpings, and dessert. But afterward, he always felt heavy, tired, and bloated. It wasn't just uncomfortable, it made him dread something he used to love. His wife noticed and decided to introduce a new habit, a fresh fruit starter before dinner. At first, it felt strange. Why eat papaya and pomegranate seeds before meatloaf? But they tried it, and to David's surprise, it helped. His digestion improved. He felt full sooner, and those after-dinner crashes disappeared. It also gave him a moment to slow down and connect before the chaos of the meal began. David's story is about embracing the unexpected. Sometimes, the best traditions begin with something new. And sometimes, the answer to a lifetime of digestive discomfort is as simple as starting your meal with the right kind of sweetness. Carol, 61, felt tired all the time. Her knees ached. Her fingers swelled. Her doctor said it was just aging, but deep down, she knew something was off. She began researching inflammation and discovered that certain foods could either trigger or calm it. apples, avocados, blueberries. They kept coming up. So she made a smoothie every morning with all three, determined to give it 30 days. The results were undeniable. Her swelling decreased. Her energy returned. Her sleep improved. Carol's story isn't just about inflammation. It's about the power of self-advocacy. If your body whispers, listen, because sometimes the solution isn't in another pill, it's in your produce drawer. Ed, a 65-year-old grandfather of 5, thought he was doing fine, a little tired now and then, a bit of chest tightness. Nothing unusual, but a calcium scan revealed early signs of arterial plaque. The words heart disease risk echoed in his mind. He wasn't ready to slow down. He asked his doctor about diet changes and was surprised when the doctor recommended more potassium-rich foods, like avocados. So Ed did just that. He made a morning smoothie with avocado, banana, and greens, and within months, his follow-up skin showed no progression. His energy was back, and so was his sense of control. Ed's story is about prevention, about not waiting for the emergency. Sometimes the most powerful decisions happen before the crisis. June, 67, had one goal: to live long enough to meet her great-grandchildren. She knew it meant taking her health seriously, not just reacting when things went wrong, but building habits that could carry her through the decades. She started with a simple rule: one fruit from the Longevity 5 at each meal, blueberries at breakfast, avocado at lunch, papaya or apple in the afternoon, and pomegranate at dinner. It became second nature. Her doctor praised her labs. Her energy was better than it had been in years. June's story is one of legacy. The choices we make don't just affect today. They ripple through the generations. And sometimes, longevity is built one fruit at a time.